Bagfuel, baby.
Tell me what's going on with you, Tamira, because I heard you and my man parted ways. What happened?
Oh,
And I'm
you
talking about Ray Daniels, the GAUDS Show, so we can be clear with what's going on.
you better get right into it. So, nothing. As you can see, like we started the show together. It was just the two of us, and then we started adding more factors into it. So we got Juju to get on the show, and then we would kind of rotate. Sometimes Jack Daniels would sit on the couch with us. So it just kind of started going in different directions, I think. So I think one with the interviews, and then putting out the 3 shows a week, and the availability and the time, and what I wanted to do with my brand and what he wanted to do with his brand, it just started going in different directions.
So this shit ain't had nothing to do with money. Because usually when shit gets broken up,
Well, I think that
it's always
It's
money,
about money,
somehow.
yeah.
if more
And
money,
you're talking to niggas who went through it.
Yeah, no.
I'm
If-
sorry, Tamara.
if more money was involved, then I would have been able to dedicate more time to the show. And I think that's what Ray wanted. He wanted me to be more involved and be like kind of strictly into the God Show until we got it a little bit further. But
Was it an issue with you doing Bowler Alert Radio and also other media platforms? Because
it wasn't any one thing per se as an issue. It was more or less just my overall timing and my ability to be able to do both. So one thing about Ray, he really wants to accommodate everybody who comes on the show, and he always wants to be available to people. You see, like the way the office is set up, it's
Nah, it's
right
yeah.
there, so he can.
it's easy access.
Yeah,
for the
so
most
he
part.
can do that. And I just was like, hey, let's just make sure, like, let's try to get a schedule together. Let's try to do 24 hours. Let's make this work for everybody. And because Ray is so good at what he does and wants to be available to people, the 24-hour thing just kind of didn't really work that well for him. And then just, like, I just started getting into a space where it was like, okay, I can't dedicate as much time into the God Show as I would like to, the way we want it to be. So kind of just see you guys at the top.
But can I ask you a question? Why couldn't you dedicate the time? Because when we was in the situation that we was in, time dedication was never an issue. Why would you be doing a ball alert? Why wouldn't you stick with what's getting you known? Like, I know you from the God Show. You know what I'm saying? Like, you think that you had, and this is coming from a person who I was only on my expert opinion for 9 months. All right? You think you had enough time to build up your steam to move on? Because at that time, we didn't think we built up enough. We just was
Momentum,
like, we were just like, this is what we got to do, but we don't know if we built up enough steam to go out on our own.
Yeah, that was definitely a big deciding factor. I had to kind of question myself and say, like, are you ready to step out on your own? Like, is this something you can even do? Would you be able to build your brand on your own? But when you look at the numbers, like if I look at the numbers on my IG page, my green screens and the stuff I do by myself does triple the numbers from what I do on like the God Show and stuff like that. So just like for a brand myself, what I'm putting out on my own kind of does way more as far as interactions and driving stuff to my page. Um, but one of the things I had to realize is that at the end of the day, that's not me and Ray's show. That's Ray's show. It says hosted by Ray Daniels. It doesn't say hosted by Ray Daniels and Tamira. So at the end of the day, I could only pour so much into somebody else's show and brand before I could figure out what I want to do with myself. And of course, I wish we could have built together while we were kind of still going up. But there comes a point where you have to say, did I serve my purpose here? Am I growing here? Like, I also think, like, I'm kind of funny some days. So I just also thought that my personality didn't get to shine as much on the God Show. We talked a lot more about, like, serious stuff.
Business.
And I wanted that. And that's why I stayed as long as I did, because I thought that it provided me with diversity. It got to, like, going on Bull Alert, you get to see the jokes and the funny interviews and the more gossipy stuff. But then on Ray's show, you got to see the more serious, okay, music, money, education. So I really wanted to be able to do both. But at some point, you kind of just got to figure out where you're going forward, what's going to be best. And I thought that working with other people that were all trying to build a brand together and might be a little bit more, they're more my age. We kind of talk about the same things. I know absolutely nothing about music, so my opinion is a little bit more valued over there with the type of things we talked about. So it was just really a better fit for me at the time.
Yeah, chemistry and fit matters. A lot of the times you got to really adjust to what the subject matter is. And sometimes on camera, it could look like, yo, what the fuck does this person know?
Yeah, no,
So
definitely. That was a big thing. Like when we started the show, I was like, I don't even want to be on camera. I was like, let me just ask the questions from behind the scenes because I don't know shit. I was like, I don't want
in real time, it's like learning French in front of the world in real time. Like when we speak with the music business, luckily I've been around enough people that I can pick up on things and I can assimilate faster. But for you, now I got to look at it. It's a crash course for Tamara.
Mm-hmm.
She got to learn contracts. She got to learn business, being in the studio. Now, I've had the good fortune that before we did Bagfuel, Esso would school me to a lot of things. I've been around people. I don't know your history. I don't know who you've been around. So this might have been a crash course for you.
Mm-hmm.
Is that accurate to what I'm describing?
Yeah, pretty much. So it wasn't my first time kind of working in the music industry. Of course, I went to school for journalism and public relations. And
Mm,
so I had my own radio show growing up. I started my YouTube channel like 15, 12 years ago. So
congratulations.
I thank you. I've always kind of been this personality, especially growing up in Harlem. We used to, like,
Oh
I
no,
grew up with,
everybody's up on
yeah, like I grew up like having sleepovers and birthday parties with Tiana, Ferg, Rocky, all those people. Like we have childhood pictures together. So we grew up in a very, we were the celebrity kind of time during high school and all that stuff. So I've always been this type of media personality. And then when I got out of college, I was over at Power 105 for a while. Did a lot of work with Sus and the Breakfast Club over there. And then I went to Atlanta. And then that's when I tried to get in radio, but Atlanta seemed like I didn't think I could do Atlanta radio because I have that strong New York accent. So I was like, they are not gonna want to hear me. I did not think that would. I didn't even know if it was a
'Cause
thing.
I
Maybe I
think
just put that in my
Atlanta, if
head.
correct me if I'm wrong, has more hip hop stations than any other city. I
They
think they got
definitely
like
do.
7.
They
Like
definitely
Ghost, they
do.
got a lot
Yeah, it's very competitive. It's a good place to chase your dreams. So there is some place for everybody out there.
opportunities.
Yeah,
Okay.
so you will find it eventually. And so that's how I ended up working with Ray. He made a post on Facebook one day, and then I went over there, and then we just started the show.
Oh, that's how you met Ray?
Well, I knew him from like being outside like clubs and stuff. But when he had put that he was starting a company on
You
Facebook,
just hit him up.
yeah, I wrote him and he was like, my assistant is gonna write you. And I was like, who is this man with an assistant and stuff? Like, I didn't know much about Ray. So I just was like, what is he talking about? So his assistant
I had a
did.
similar thing with a show that I was on, but go
Oh,
ahead.
yeah. So I was like, assistant, excuse me. So I was like, okay. So I came in, I interviewed in front of the whole team. He had like all his assistants and everybody in there, and I did my interview in front of everybody, and I guess they voted and decided if they liked the ideas I pitched and what I was talking about, and then I was a part of his team from there.
I'm gonna be honest. I feel like, and I'm not gonna dwell on this and move on. I feel like that y'all had a lot of synergy.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
was
gonna
about to say
lie.
that.
What I felt like, and I never had a chance to talk to Ray. It was just too many other people in between what y'all was going on. If he was gonna be with Jack, he should have just had like maybe a something with Jack. But the chemistry that y'all had with a male and a female, I thought it was unmatched. It caught my eye. So that
Especially
so
because me and him are most of the time on opposite ends of the fence with
That's it
things.
works.
yeah,
So,
but see, sometimes people agree and sometimes people don't. But it's just y'all had it was just a synergy that I feel like you can't explain. Things of content doesn't catch my eye. I'm not a content watcher. You know what I'm saying? But when I saw y'all, when I met Ray, I had already been kind of seeing y'all already. So when he asked me to come to the show, I was like, yeah, I'll fly to Atlanta. I'll come to the show because I see y'all moving too. And the chemistry was dope.
yeah.
You're not afraid. And I seen you on the ball alert. I think that y'all got good chemistry. I see what's going. It's a totally different type of
Yeah,
show.
it's totally different vibe.
You
Agreed.
don't do you think that you're gonna find that chemistry that you had with Ray because we were on the show and it seems like that the chemistry that we had on the other show, they haven't found that chemistry back yet.
Yeah, so I think that Ray knew that. So when we first started the show, I wasn't the permanent co-host. So we were trying different things. Like if I wasn't there, because when we started, I was kind of just an intern. So I wasn't obligated to be there. So I was like going on vacations every week doing what I got to do. So I'd be like,
Hot
tell
girl
somebody else
summer.
to sit in. Yeah. So he would try to put other people. And then one day he did an interview with somebody and it just didn't work out the way he wanted it. And he was like, I'm not doing another show without Tamira. Like, that's it. Like, that's who I want to be my co-host. We're gonna do this together. And then me and him kind of agreed to do it together. And I really do think our energy was a big thing. I think that Ray is kind of like very stuck in his ways. I'm very stuck in my ways. We're very strongly opinionated. So the two meetings of the minds is always good to see. And then you get to see this
You know what's the
clash.
definition of cooperation, Tamara? Engaging in a silent struggle.
What you trying to say here?
That both of y'all are set in your ways. So
Mm-hmm.
to get y'all ways together, it's you're engaging in a silent struggle.
Mm-hmm. I could see that.
You know, and that's what cooperation is. You got to give a little to really get the shit going, but it's a struggle. And you know, successful people got to have a part of their personality that gets them over the edge. And then a lot of the times when you run into other successful people, it takes certain people to take their foot off the gas in order to make chemistry work.
Yeah.
And for you to in certain things, it seems like you felt like you were losing part of who you are in order to make it work. And it's a tricky situation because the show has a lot of momentum and leverage, and you don't get those a lot in your career. You've done this long enough to know. So the fact that you got the courage to say, I'm going to go out on my own, I commend you on that. That's tough.
Thank you. Thank you. No,
Especially as a woman. Most times, like, oh, she not with him.
But
Yo,
I
you want to
want
suck dick?
I'm
You want
gonna
to let me
say
do
this.
this?
I'm gonna say this in front of Tamira, not especially as a woman, because they're the ones that go rogue. The women go rogue. Like it's not enough for them. Like we had a female that was on our show. It was actually my god sister at one time. You know what I'm saying? And it didn't work out for many different reasons that I'm not gonna even like go into and speak of. Heineken let me be on my expert opinion and go crazy, right? He took a back seat. He didn't get a chance to be himself. He played a whole nother role in that situation to make the chemistry work.
Yeah, but that's what I was willing to do on
Okay.
the GAUDS Show. I was willing to be
That's
like
what I was
just a
gonna ask.
question asker. I knew that people, especially because it's music based, they're not there for my opinion. For the most part, they're there for a raise. I started building my own. Like people did start tuning in, and once they started to see me, people would be like, "Oh, what about T's opinion?" And I did start to build my own kind of character and personality. So I did start stepping into my own light. But I still knew at the end of the day that we were there to build Ray. When I came on that team, I didn't come on there as a podcaster. I came on there as a marketing person for Ray. My goal was to build Ray. So at the end of the day, I knew that my assignment was going to be to build his brand and him as long as I was there.
Because from a superficial standpoint, you look good. So that already works on camera. Then you dress well. That works on camera. Now you're able to speak and convey your thoughts. So over time, whether it's a thirsty dude or girls that's into girls or whatever, people are gonna start coming for you as well.
And
it works that way.
You could have taken a little time and just learned more about music.
Yeah,
You know, it doesn't have to be.
I don't think it's that easy, yes.
You don't have to know a lot. I didn't say you have to know, but you can, an aspect, like when she talks about Dipset, right? She has to know about what other groups was doing, what the sales was like, why Dipset became who they was. That's what she likes. So for her to look into that and to figure out what's going on and why that's happening, that's just a shell of what will explain a little tidbit for her about business. So when she can talk about it, once you hear it and you retain it, you're gonna know. It's just
I
like
disagree, and I'm gonna say why. Part of the chemistry of my expert opinion is we all were experts in other shit. It's gonna take another 20 years for that to happen because it's a perfect storm. You're the guy who's done everything in music that people dream of. What Ghost has done, people will never do. He did it as a teenager. What Math has done, and we were able to merge it together, and we were different factions. I think Tamara would have been in the way of Ray Daniels if she tried to be him.
I'm not saying trying to be him.
I see what
him.
you're saying. Being more versed on music would
That's
have
it.
helped me been able to have a little bit more, voice
just a
and-
little. That's all. That's all.
But my lack of knowledge on the music industry wasn't a factor or issue with the show at all. That wasn't it, because where I lapsed in music knowledge, I think that's what made it good, because I felt like Ray was a teacher and I was a student.
And you had opinion.
So I was always asking the questions.
But you're great at current events.
Yes.
And that, right, I just had a conversation with somebody in the media space, and they're like, for the algorithm purpose, current events, and being able to interject that allows the show to run in a different capacity. You don't want to have your show too stagnant.
And dated and stuff.
Dated as well, you know? And I felt like that's what you did. When we were on the episode with you, that's why I kept saying, what other topics you have? Because I'm like, get them all out, because these are things that's going to make the engine run. I'm aware of that.
Okay, that's good. So,
But everybody else, See, it's all about synergy. Everybody else would have to be on that same page too
That's true.
to understand and to be able to maximize. Now, if they were, and I'm not saying that they wasn't, you know what I'm saying? If they were, then some of those clips and some of those ideas, that might have been what they would have ran. You follow what I'm saying? So since we understand what she brings to the table, we're gonna give her something that highlights what she brings to the table, even if she doesn't talk a lot on the camera. I got this stuff for her, so she's integrated
yeah.
into what's going on.
Yeah, I think that's why we started doing like the 3 shows. So we had like just the interviews with artists, then they started doing this artist spotlight with Juju, where I get to highlight Juju and Ray's A&R experience, and then a culture report was more like me, gossip, current events. So we did
like
kind
that
of
one.
try to find a lane for everybody. So I think that right now they really have a good bone structure and template of like what can be successful, and as long as they execute it properly, they'll be.
I
good.
mean, it's gonna be tough. Not to say Ray can't do it, but when there's a level of comfortability and expectation and
synergy.
Yeah, you
synergy,
got to know how to work with each other. Like,
it's
I know when Ray's getting frustrated. I know when to go to the next topic. I know when he's dying to ask a question and I got to sit back. Like, you got to
Yeah.
learn that about each other. So,
and
yeah,
it's
it
gonna
takes
take
a while.